Yeah, the campaign was really difficult. I knew I had a decent shot of surviving against just about anyone other than America, which is why the way this week panned out was kind of tough because if it was just a plain old backdoor and I'm next to Felicia, I think I stand a pretty decent chance of surviving that vote. Against America, it's really tough because the reality is we're in a very similar position in the game. And I'm just a bigger threat. At the very least, I'm perceived as a much bigger threat in terms of winning competitions and just, how I play the game strategically. So it's a really hard pitch to make. The route I was going, I had to kind of think outside the box. And I think it was a cool plan. It obviously didn't pan out. Was basically making Bowie believe that Matt and Jag formed a final four with Felicia and Suri. And in order for that to work, I would need Felicia and Suri on board with selling that lie. I think Suri was down. Felicia wasn't because I think Felicia's feelings were hurt by some things I said about her in the house, which, look, it was all in good fun. I stand by the jokes I've made at her expense, especially considering how she called me out in front of the entire house like 7 different times. I think ultimately what it came down to is Matt and Jag, I couldn't campaign to. Jag couldn't vote, but I couldn't get Matt. Blue is wants me out for a month. So then I only have 3 votes to campaign to: Suri, Felicia, and Bowie. Bowie is scared to go against Matt and Jag. I think I could have gotten Suri, and then Felicia has this vendetta again. Maybe that's too harsh, but she was not going to vote to keep me. In a world where I can get Felicia on board with my plan, I think I actually could stay. But the reality is, me being next to America is always a tough pitch to make, and I knew it was an uphill battle. I did my best, but it was never really going to happen. I mean, the Izzy vote, I stand by. I don't know if it was the right move. I'm curious what the Terrans of the world think about that. But I think the Mimi Felicia vote again. I don't think there was much of a reason for me to get rid of Mimi in that spot. Even when I was making the decision, it didn't make that much sense. I don't think it mattered much either way. The problem was I thought Felicia was someone who can be dragged along, whereas Mimi would be more of an active player, someone we'd have to get out. The problem was my position in the game is I needed to be dragged along because I wasn't winning competitions. So Felicia looked like a much more attractive option to Matt and Jag than I did. If I get rid of Felicia that week and keep Mimi, I might have another week in the house because Matt and Jag feel like they need to get rid of Mimi. Mimi and Blue is too big of a, competitive block. So you would need a week to get rid of them, and then I'd be in the house next week. So I think that would have bought me a little bit more time, and I could have worked with Mimi going forward. She was just kind of a tough person to work with because she was so reserved and vague, and I just didn't feel comfortable on a her or Felicia HOH. So I thought, like whatever, just get rid of the bigger threat. Keeping Felicia after she yells at me is kind of funny, but that was probably a bit short sighted. Look, I don't think Matt's a dark horse, but I think he's the best player in the house by a large margin. I think people are still underestimating him, despite his stature, despite his threat level. People still think Jag is the guy, but Matt is absolutely the guy. I think Suri is someone who you really just can't count out. Like on a 1-to-1 personal relationship level, she is the best player to have ever played reality television games. The problem is I don't know how she gets over the hump of these final couple of weeks in competitions or king. So that's always going to be challenging. And I think America has a really reasonable chance at this point. I think she has the right threat level at this point where she's got the respect of the other house guests, but also, is not a massive threat that people need to deal with right away. She's been horribly underestimated this season, maybe because she's a woman in a showmance, maybe because, she's a little bit fiery, but she's obviously extremely intelligent, massive fan of the game. She wins a competition, it's going to be a nightmare for a lot of people in the house. So, I think especially with me gone, she has a great chance to make a good run. Look, I don't think I have much say in this. I think they'll be at the finale in some respects, and so is America. So there's going to be a lot of cold water in my face when I'm like, hey, mom and dad, this is America. I love her. Like, it's going to be very awkward. The thing is, they've already kind of met her, though, because they've been watching her for months. So it's kind of a unique experience. I'm much more nervous about meeting America's parents than I am her meeting mine. Mine are easy. They've already had a kid on reality TV. There's not going to be that much whiplash for them. But that's gonna happen on November 9th. Everyone, you check with me after that. We'll see. Okay, well, let's be honest. I think like my mom has reality TV bragging rights over my brother. He was there for 3 days. He got 17th place. Much respect to you, Zach. You got screwed in your tribe formation for sure. The being backdoored thing, everyone gets backdoored in Big Brother. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Heisen was backdoored, Cameron was backdoored twice. Like, that's how it goes. I was double backdoored by 2 vetoes. That's kind of cool. Ultimately, I still think when it comes to these kinds of games, my brother's better than me. He's just a nicer, more extroverted, amicable dude. So if he was on Big Brother, I think he'd actually do incredibly well. Whereas I think this was kind of me maxed out. So yeah, I definitely have the reality TV bragging rights, but let's be honest, that's more of a testament to, big bro than it is to me. But I think I did a good job, relatively speaking.